It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another live Q&A. This is Q&A number 193. Yep, 193. There were some technical issues, so that's why we were a little late. So sorry about that, but we're live now. Let me know, as always, if there's any issues with the audio, with the stream, or anything like that. Especially tonight, because there were some technical difficulties before we started. So there is a chance that, you know, some of that may not have been fixed. So let me know if there's any issues going on that you notice. I hope everything is good. Let's get right into it. Cade Woody 03, awesome. Can't wait to ask some season 10 questions since I haven't been able to join any of the season 10 live streams. Glad you could join, Cade. Yeah, ask away. Cade Woody 03, like the shave man. Thank you very much. Just thought that it'll be a change. I was starting to look a little bit like Rick from season 5, so I just wanted to look less intimidating for a little bit, and then I'll grow it back. Actually, no, I wasn't, or my beard wasn't like Rick's in season 5. That was just the next level. His was next level. But yeah. One other thing, I'm going to bring this up real quick. If you, let me see if I can still put this on. Let me see. Yeah. Let me just make this bigger. I don't know why it's so small. If you haven't been up to date on what we're doing on the channel, so as you know, the channel is pretty much Walking Dead focused right now, but I am moving, or I am trying to move into covering a new show, but I'm gonna start with just reacting to a new show, and it's not just a new show. It could be a show that aired, you know, years before. So we have a bunch of options in this straw poll that I have. So Punisher, Breaking Bad, Chernobyl, Stranger Things, Haunting of Hill House, Mandalorian, Westworld. So you can participate in the poll to let me know which you want me to start reacting to and watching, and maybe even doing some separate videos talking about, or doing specific videos on. So if you haven't participated in that, I'll leave a link to it in the chat. You can go and participate in the poll and let me know what you want me to start reacting to, watching, and, you know, maybe later on you'll have some specific questions about those shows that I can, you know, have some comment or input about later on. So go and participate in the chat if you haven't done so already. I was planning to reveal the show that I'm going to cover this weekend, but because we haven't got a lot of inputs yet, we're like only 18 people voted, so I'm going to hold off on that a little bit longer to kind of get more results in, so that I know for sure, you know, what I'm going to be covering, and I know, you know, or I'm confident what I'm choosing there's a lot of demand for, because right now I don't feel too confident if I pick one that there's going to be enough demand for it. So I'll hold off on actually choosing the show right now, but hopefully by next week we'll be at a good spot in terms of me being able to pick which one I'm going to cover, and hopefully it'll be a good reflection of where the actual demand is. Cade Woody 03, season 10A was a great start to what I think 10B will be, because I think 10B, each episode will be so fast-paced and it will be so crazy. Yeah, I mean, so far I've enjoyed season 10, but I've said this before, season 9, even the first half of season 9, was a great season. There was just a lot going on. If you look at and break apart the stories in season 9A, you can see that there's a lot more going on. Even though season 9A wasn't as fast-paced as you might expect, but there was a lot going on. Season 10A, as good as it was, there were some things missing, because It feels like the story was very straightforward in a way. And some of the plot points I don't agree with, or I didn't agree with, and I've talked about that before, but I do agree with you on one thing. Season 10B seems to be more fast-paced, and we probably will get a lot more, not only action, but we'll get a lot more sub-stories, if you want to call it that, for the main story. I'll give you an example. The first half of season 10, the main story is the Cold War feel, right? With the Whispers. That's all it is. We haven't really dived too far into any other, even sub-stories or anything other than the Cold War with the Whispers. The only thing that we can say the first half of season 10 had that wasn't Whisper related was the stuff that happened in the mid-season finale with Virgil, which could connect to Rick in some way. But that's the only thing you can really say wasn't Whisper related. The others were pretty focused on the Whispers, and they were pretty, Cold War story connected. The other thing that you could say is a story that's not Whisper related is Eugene communicating with someone through the radio, but that's just so small, and it's just set up for the next story, which we're going to see, and it's coming directly from the comic book. So other than those, I think the first half was very linear in a way, the story itself, and I think the second half is going to be a lot different, because we're not only going to have the Whisper War finally starting and ending, hopefully, in the first few episodes, maybe up to episode 13 or 14, but we will also have the Eugene radio story coming back into play, and they're going to focus a lot more on that. And also Maggie's coming back, so that's going to be a part of the story. Michonne's exit, it might connect to Virgil and how or where he took her, and it could ultimately connect to Rick's story and all of that. So there's a lot of things that are most likely going to be happening in the second half. In the first half, though, it was the opposite. Like I said, it was very focused towards one specific story, which was the Cold War Whisper story arc. Kate Woody 03, the mid-season finale was a bit disappointing, and the Dante thing kind of made a little bit of plot holes. Exactly, and I think the first half of the season, my biggest disappointment was the Dante story arc. Not that I didn't like the shock, but at what cost? If you look at the plot holes, the things that it screws up in the long term, or not even the long term, but everything that are kind of screwed up or ruined because of this decision to have Dante be a Whisper story. It just kind of goes against what they were trying to do. There's more disadvantages to advantages, I think. And if you watch my video where I talk about all of the plot holes, you can kind of know the details about each specific plot hole and each specific negative impact that this story has for future stories or for the story in general, for the Whispers arc. Kate Woody 03, but Father G lashing out at Dante was so awesome to see. Him and Eugene have definitely adapted to this post-apocalyptic world. Absolutely. I think there are three characters that have had the most character development and character change from the start of the series. Those three, Father G, Gabriel, and Carol. All of those, I think, have had the most. Not that others haven't had any character development or any change in their characters, but these three have had the most character development. And I think if you compare who they were, the episode they were introduced, to who they are now, it's like night and day. It's so different. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A, hey Ash, do you see Beta killing anybody else? inside Alexandria since he's inside the trailer. He's inside in the trailer. Yes, he's absolutely at Alexandria. I've talked about that before in terms of how he potentially got there. But in terms of who he might kill, I don't think they're going to kill any major character at Alexandria. And the reason why is I think Beta breaking into Alexandria takes place the first episode back or the episode after when we come back. And if something happens to someone in the cave trap, which I think, it will, I think at least one person is going to die. I don't think they're going to kill another major character at Alexandria in the next episode or even in the same episode. So because of that, I think he might kill someone, absolutely, but I don't think it'll be a character that's big. Like a big character. I think it'll be like a very, very minor character. He might kill Scott, the Alexandria resident. He's been there forever, ever since we got to Alexandria. So you could say he's a long-standing character, but he's not a major character. So he could kill him. And, I think that could potentially work in terms of them making it be a big deal because he has been there for a while, but he's not really a major character. But I don't think they're necessarily going to have Beta kill a very major character at Alexandria, especially if someone does die in the cave traps. Epic Zombie Killer, the one thing I don't get is every time they kill a character in the show, fans complain about it, like The Walking Dead is about people dying, so why be critical? I do see where you're coming from, but for me at least, it's not about them killing characters all the time. It's killing characters when it doesn't do anything to the story, and it's just for shock. Sometimes it's good, but let's say if next episode they kill Daryl, then is it really worth it? Yes, it's shocking, but is it worth it? You know what I mean? What does it do for the story? If they have Daryl die, and it moves Connie and Carol's characters in a way that we've never expected, and it, makes them go in this journey that's very interesting and exciting, then I'll be all for it because Daryl's death impacted the story in a way that we didn't expect, in a good way. But if they kill Daryl and it didn't do anything for the story, then I just don't see it. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. But that's where I'm coming from. But I do understand where you're coming from because there are some fans that, go nuts every time they kill off a character. It's like, it's Walking Dead. What do you expect? Cade Woody, 03. I don't know how I feel about World Beyond yet. I'm definitely checking it out. The only thing is I hope they don't fall into the same crap Fear is in with slow story building and super cringe moments. Yes, I'm absolutely going to give it a shot. I'm not going to judge it, but I'm not going to stick with it as long as I stick with Fear the Walking Dead if it goes down the same path. I'm going to bail out a lot sooner than I did with Fear the Walking Dead. But I have hopes. I think there's a lot of potential in this story, especially because it does connect to the bigger world. And they've made that clear right away, right off the bat. So we know what we're going in with. And there's going to be no surprises in a way where, we go in, we didn't think that we were going to see a connection with the movies, but we do. You know what I mean? So we won't see that. Like, it won't shock us in that regard. And also, if there is a crossover, potentially, we're not surprised because we are already expecting it or anticipating it. With Fear, right away they said there's going to be no connections whatsoever. It's just in the same universe. And then down the line, years down the line, they're like, well, maybe, And that was kind of the thing that made fans lash out at the writers a little bit. And also, their decision of a crossover was just disappointing and just bad in general. But I do agree with you that I'm gonna check it out, but I'm hoping for the best. But if I see it going towards the same route that Fear did, I'm not gonna stick around. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A hash. Do you think Princess will work in the show? If they bring the princess from the comics exactly, then for the most part, maybe, but there are some scenes or some things that Princess does that are very comic booky. So if they do it, it'll be very cringy in the show. But if they have a princess in the show that gives the same essence as what Princess was in the comics, then it'll absolutely work, and I'll be pretty much for it. But if they gave us a princess that's panel by panel, like her comic counterpart, it may not necessarily work. There are parts that, I'm sure non-comic fans specifically would just go, what is this? What are we watching? Who is this person? So I do see them changing certain things to make it fit, which I absolutely for. It makes sense to me, and I'll support them if they do that. So they'll have to remix it, I think. But who knows what they're gonna do? If they don't remix anything and they just stick with Comic Princess, then I'm sure I'm gonna not be surprised if certain scenes don't work for me, at least, if they adapt it directly from the comics. Kate Woody, the movies I'm most excited for, though I've heard rumors of the movies I'm most excited for, though I've heard rumors of Andrew and Pollyanna in LA or something, so I hope it's for the Rick Grimes movies. Yeah, it absolutely is. The Rick Grimes movies are right now in pre-production. So Andrew Lincoln went to LA. He was in studio with Pollyanna McIntosh, I think. They haven't filmed anything yet. It's just basically pre-production. They're pretty much probably looking at the script, looking at bringing the people that they need in, casting, checking out or picking the directors and all of that. Scott M. Gimple is going to be at the center of that process for sure. And I don't think we're going to get any concrete thing coming out, maybe other than casting and things like that, until later on in the year, maybe even closer to next year, where they might even start filming at that point. Alright, I will be right back, guys. I just want to check something real quick. I'll be right back. Epic Zombie Killer. The thing about Fear is they should show, or they should have showed the city of Los Angeles fall apart, because in the actual show they showed the riots but skipped over the city crumbling. Absolutely, and that was the one of the things that I was disappointed we didn't get in Fear the Walking Dead season 1. They emphasized it. They made it, or specifically in the trailer, they made it seem like that was gonna be season 1, and that was gonna be the big thing. But it wasn't. Even the majority of the story for season 1's first episode, it was just maybe 20-30 minutes of the first episode. Or less than that, maybe, I would say 15-20 minutes of the episode, because they showed the riots, they showed everyone go to the barber shop, which was Danny Salazar's shop, and they showed them get out of the city, and that was it. They went to a quarantine zone, and that was it, basically. So I would say that was one of my key disappointments for the first half of season, or the first season of Fear the Walking Dead. So I completely agree with you that they should have showed that. If they didn't want to, they shouldn't have advertised it as such. They shouldn't have marketed it like they wanted to do that. It's kind of like false advertisement if you think about it. Epic Zombie Killer, Q&A, my opinion, Virgil is the TV show version of Pete from the comics. Pete. Who was Pete in the comics? I don't remember. Who was Pete? Remind me. Kid Woody 03. Wasn't Pete from Alexandria? Maybe I've got it wrong. Let me know which Pete you're talking about. Cade Woody, I say Commonwealth will come into play a lot bigger in the last 3 episodes of season 10. I say 10-14 to 10-16. I think so. I think we're going to be completely done with the Whispers arc in 10-14 at the latest. I think. I could be wrong. But I think 10-14 is going to be the latest. We'll see Whispers. Maybe a few will be left over that will be dealt with after the fact. But Alpha and Beta specifically will be and Gamma will be dealt with by 10-14. And then the Commonwealth story, like you say, will come into play, and it'll play a bigger role in the last few episodes of the season. Epic Zombie Killer. He was the black dude from Oceanside that was with Michonne when she left in the comics. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that could be. Actually, now that I think about it, it's an interesting remix of the story. But at the end of the day, we are basically going the same route in a way. If you, considering where we are now and where the comics was, it's like Michonne is basically getting her comic arc after all, which is pretty interesting. Even though Carol got that part of Michonne's story in the show, but they remixed it, right? So that, Carol got that, but Michonne is getting her own thing, where it's kind of similar, you know what I mean? So that is interesting that you bring that up. I'm going to leave the link again in the chat. So if you haven't participated in our poll, make sure to go and participate in our poll. Probably next week will be when I reveal the results of which show I'm going to be covering or starting to react to first, starting next week. So, or I'll reveal it next week, and then probably, I'll let you guys know the actual schedule of when I'll be doing those reactions to the show that I pick. But it is very important for you guys to go and participate and let me know your thoughts and your opinions, because again, I could just choose any show and react to it and talk about it, but if there's going to be not a lot of demand for it, and if no one really cares about those shows or those series, then there's no point in it. Kid Woody, worst episode ever in your opinion of The Walking Dead? Mine is personally 412. Still, what episode was that? Season 3 somewhere? No, season 4, somewhere in season 4. Still with was it season 4? I think so. With Beth and Daryl. That has to be my least favorite because it's just so slow and there's nothing happening. What was 412? I don't remember. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A hash. If Alpha finds Lydia, do you think she'll kill her own daughter? No, I don't think she'll kill her. She might punish her, but I don't think she'll kill her. But that being said, if Lydia being alive and people finding out that she's alive is going to threaten Alpha and her power, she might as well kill her. You know what I mean? But I don't think her first instinct is going to be to kill Alpha Lydia when she sees her. Kate Woody, that's mine too. That's 412. Oh, okay, so it's the same episode then. Yeah, still it's, I think for most fans, it's their least favorite episode. Kate Woody, 504 Slaptown was the weirdest episode, in my opinion. Yeah, 504 Slaptown with Beth, right? Yeah, that episode, I mean, if it was not a bottle episode, if it wasn't a standalone Beth episode, I would have been whatever. But because of how they structured it, and at the end of the day, it didn't lead to anything. None of the characters came back. Noah died, same season basically. Beth died that episode, or the episode after, or that episode, and that was it. You know what I mean? So there wasn't a lot of things that came out of that story arc. You know what I mean? If Noah stick around, I'll be like, okay, this character came out of that, but that didn't happen. No one came out of it, or no character stuck with with the story afterwards, and that was basically a pointless story arc, to be honest. It was a filler episode, for sure. Epic Zombie Killer, I know The Walking Dead has slow and filler episodes, but I mean, they're still watchable than the episodes from Fear the Walking Dead Season 5, especially the second half. I would agree with you, yes. I would agree with you. The Walking Dead still slow and filler episodes, I think, are more interesting and exciting than some of the filler episodes in Fear the Walking Dead. Kate Woody 706 swear was kind of dull and weird too. Yeah, that was the, if I'm not wrong, the Terra-centric, right? With the Oceanside. Yeah, that was also, it didn't need to be a standalone episode. If they merged it with another episode, if they didn't have the entire thing at Oceanside, maybe I'll feel a little better about the episode. Kate Woody, I left that episode so pissed, but it did set up for the future seasons. Yeah, and I think that was one episode where, yeah, it was filler, it was slow, but a lot of things came out of it at the end of the day. It set up the Heath story. We don't know what happened to him, but, you know, that was the last episode we saw him. So there's things in that make Heath's story significant. It was also the Oceanside's first introduction. So that was that, which was set up for All Out War and all of that. Oceanside are still around, so that's cool. Also, yeah, that was pretty much it. And the Savior connection with Oceanside. It was set up at that point. Kate Woody and the movie. Yeah, it was definitely set up for the movie too, because like we said, Heath was kidnapped basically by the group that took Rick. He's most likely gonna be in the movies, but if not, he was taken to the community or the organization that Rick was taken to. So, excuse me. So that means that, there's definitely connections. It was set up for the movies as well. We've been going for 40 minutes, so since there's a slowdown in the questions as well, we might go for maybe another 15 minutes and then end the stream. If more people show up and there's more traffic in the questions, we might stick around for another half hour after. But for now, 15 minutes is probably what we're gonna aim for. Epic Zombie Killer, my opinion, season 7, episode 6, swear, is more meaningful now since Tara died. I wouldn't say it's more meaningful. I would say it's more set up for Tara. If that episode wasn't there, then Tara wouldn't have got enough setup or enough story or enough development, whatever you want to call it. So that I agree with. But I wouldn't say it's more meaningful because Tara died. That connection is not that direct. Cade Woody, I'm glad they're finally getting rid of a lot of communities. I love the communities, but Scott Gimple set up too many communities in one season. That's another reason season 7 was a lot slower. That's true, but at the same time, it happened in the comics, so they were staying true to the comics. And that's one of the things where maybe in the comics it made sense, but in the show not really, you know what I mean? But yeah, we're basically done with Kingdom. We just have Alexandria, Hilltop, and Oceanside. So just these three. And obviously Sanctuary, we got rid of that too. Giuseppe De Rosa, been super busy, but I was able to make it towards the end, I guess. LMAO. Glad you could join, Giuseppe. Yeah. We're going for another 20 minutes, so you're not too late. You can still ask a few questions if you're interested. But thank you for joining. Cade Woody, the garbage group was so blah, but at least it set up a lot for CRM and Jadis and Anne. That's one of the stories where I understand what they did and why they did it, but they could have done it a lot better. The execution was just garbage, basically, like the garbage group. That was a bad joke, but yeah, it was executed pretty bad. It was a good story arc, I would say, and it was good because it connected to the movies and all that, but it was executed so poorly that it takes away from what it tried to do in the first place. Epic Zombie Killer, obviously the Alexandria Safe Zone is the most iconic community since it's been around since season 5. Absolutely, that's the main community. And I don't think they'll ever get rid of that community, but other communities, they might. Giuseppe De Rosa, the garbage group had potential. Not the way they were. Maybe if they did them differently, but not the way they did them. The way they did them, I don't think anybody would have wanted them to stick around. I don't think anyone even cared about that group anymore. They just wanted them gone. You know what I mean? Cade Woody, they pissed me off so bad in season 8A. Yes, they did. They pissed me off in season 7 too. When Rick was there in the second half. The moment I saw them, I didn't like them. Giuseppe De Rosa, the Garbage Group and the Saviors versus the Survivors would have been interesting. The Garbage Group and the Saviors versus the Survivors. Yes and no. Yes, because it would be a little bit of a remix from the comic story, and it would have been more interesting in a way from a structure perspective for the season. But at the same time, there would have been issues. That would have meant the Survivors wouldn't have had a good chance to win. They would have been outnumbered easily. They were easily outnumbered anyway with Saviors, because Oceanside wasn't there, and they didn't have too many people to fight back. So it was already kind of complex in that sense. So that's one thing. The other thing is that the way they were set up, like I said, they weren't interesting. They weren't an interesting group. So it didn't make sense to make them part of the war when they weren't even an interesting group to begin with. They did give them a part in the war, and I think they did the best they could with the group they had. But if they made the group better, then they could have done a lot more. They could have utilized this group for a lot more interesting and exciting stories. Giuseppe De Rosa, they're basically a bunch of Yodas. Laugh my ass off. Giuseppe De Rosa, they can't talk right. Yeah, they can't. Up, up, up. That's all I remember. Up, up, up. Epic Zombie Killer, I hated how they kept switching sides. Like, just stay on Rick's side. Jeez. Yeah, that was the thing. I think it's logical or rational or whatever you want to call it. The first time someone double crosses them or they double cross someone, it's like, no, you're not joining us again. You're the enemy. I don't care. The second time, or maybe after the first time you give him a chance, fine. Second time, fine, you might give him a chance. But like, they did that like 4 or 5 times. It's like, why are you trusting them? Why is anyone trusting them? You know what I mean? Giuseppe De Rosa, when Rick said they can destroy the Garbage Group, I was laughing. Yeah, they could have though. They could have, easily. Giuseppe De Rosa, they didn't have enough ammo or manpower for that. Yeah, they didn't. That's right. But at the same time, just kill Jadis. The rest would have basically been nothing, right? Jadis was running things there for the most part. Giuseppe De Rosa, would you say Saviors are the strongest group in Walking Dead so far? Strongest how? Strongest in terms of manpower? Yes, absolutely. And gunpowder. And what do you call it? Having enough or having a leader with the right people, with the right resources, with the right gunpowder to destroy communities, absolutely. But if you're talking about being the most intimidating and you don't know how to handle them, Whispers all the way. Giuseppe De Rosa, the Whispers versus the Saviors. In a gunfight battle, Saviors all the way. In a strategic cat and mouse type of war, Whispers, I think, would have the upper hand, especially if they have their herd at their disposal and they have them to utilize in the war. Epic Zombie Killer, my opinion, that was the only good thing Simon did was wipe out that garbage group. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. But at the same time, I think that was one of the things where put together with what he did with Oceanside made Simon a force to be reckoned with. And what made Simon more scary than Negan? Kid Woody, Alpha was gonna kill a baby, so she's definitely more ruthless in the show than Negan. Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And that wasn't in the comics, that baby thing. So that's just purely in the show, which I absolutely loved. Kid Woody, Negan thought of people as resource. Absolutely. Alpha doesn't. You know, she doesn't. Just simple. It's as simple as that. And you're right, Kate Woody. Alpha kills when she pleases. Absolutely. If someone goes against her, boom, done. Giuseppe De Rosa, if the groups were militaries... Wait. If the groups were militaries, the saviors would be China, Alexandria would be the US, Hilltop would be the UK, and Kingdom, Canada. Yeah, that could work. That could work. You forgot Russia, though. I'm just kidding. Where do they fit in this equation that you have? Epic Zombie Killer, Alpha is more scary in the show than the comics. The comic version was sparkling clean, which made no sense. More scary. Yeah, she's definitely more scary in the show. And they fleshed out her character a lot more in the show than the comics. Giuseppe, there was a garbage group. I don't know. No, garbage group is... I don't know. What is garbage group like? I don't know. But no, I don't see that. Russia and garbage group, I don't see that. Epic Zombie Killer Alpha is supposed to be a savage and an animal. Why was she sparkling clean in the comics? You're absolutely right. But it was the comics. It made sense. Not made sense, but it worked. In the show, it doesn't. And it's clear why, because it's an actual person you're seeing. You can see the difference. Giuseppe De Rosa, garbage group is Vietnam. I can't comment on that. Kate Woody, what do you think Rick will look like in the movies, since after all it has been 6 years? A little older, a little bushier, but I think at the end of the day, he'll look the same. He'll look like Rick Grimes. Giuseppe De Rosa, how's the poll? Still not a lot of participation. Only 18 people participated so far. And I'll leave the link again. Hopefully, I'm hoping we get around like, I was hoping for 100, but maybe that's too much to ask for. So I'm hoping for like at least 20, or not 20, 30 to 40 participants for me to be able to, with confidence, say that that's where it is and that's what I'm going to pick. Right now, I don't feel too confident because not only is it too close, but there's not too many participation anyway. So it's like, I don't feel like if I choose one because it's highest, that means that everyone's going to be watching that, or everyone's interested to watch that. Epic Zombie Killer. So Ash, do you think eventually they'll make a 4TF spin of the show if World Beyond does well, or fourth spin-off show? That may be too many. I hope they don't, because that's oversaturation. They have already pretty much had, or they're pretty much in a spot where they can have Walking Dead all year round, right? Fourth one wouldn't make sense, but they could go for it if they want. But I just don't think it makes sense. Even for them, you know, they would have to air it at the same time as one thing is on. Fear, World Beyond, or Walking Dead's original. They can't have it be its own separate thing. It would have to be on when one of the others is on. And that means that they can't give it the Sunday night slot, which means that things could get very messy in terms of how they advertise things and how they plan things out. Giuseppe De Rosa, top five fighters. Top five fighters in the show, I would say Abraham, and I'm assuming you mean hand to hand. Abraham, Merle, Shane, the governor, who else? Daryl. I think that's... Oh, and Beta. How can I forget Beta? Giuseppe De Rosa, can you see who voted? I cannot, because it's not part of YouTube. It's external from YouTube, so it's just a platform where people can vote, but no one really signs in or anything. So I can't tell who voted, who didn't, but it just tells me the results, the total votes, and where the votes are. Giuseppe De Rosa, I want a Negan movie. Absolutely. And I don't know if you guys saw that. Let me see if I can pull it up. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet that what I tweeted. I created like a Negan movie poster. Let me see if I can show you guys. And I think if they do that, it'll be freaking epic. But I'm sure they won't do that. It's very unlikely that they're going to do that. Let me pull it up though. There we go. That's the poster that I made. I think it's pretty cool. Maybe it's just me, but if they do something like this, it'll be great. You know, I think it'll work. But the thing is, I don't think they'll do that. But if they do, I'm pumped. Like, I want to see a Negan movie just like I want to see a Rick movie. So, yeah. Let me take that away. Cade Woody, what if they made a Here's Negan miniseries for The Walking Dead? Would you be down with that? Absolutely. I think that's the only way that could work. Or a movie. A miniseries or a movie. There's no other way that the Here's Negan thing would work. And speaking of which, that's exactly the title I gave this movie. Poster, fan-made that I made. That I just showed you guys. Epic Zombie Killer, Q&A, hey Ash, my opinion. The older lady in the trailer for The Walking Dead World Beyond, I think that was Pamela Milton from comics. It looks just like her. Absolutely. I think there's a very good chance that could be her. But maybe it's just because they knew that we will think it's her, so they put her there, but it's not her. So they put it there to throw us off. That's a possibility too. Giuseppe De Rosa, has there ever been a time where you didn't like Rick? Absolutely. When he trusted the garbage people the second time. Or the third time, was it? My battery is right about to die. We might go on for a little bit longer, but let me change the battery. I'll be back in like a minute. So give me like a minute or minute and a half, 2 minutes. I'll be right back. We should be good now. The battery's changed. Let me know if there's any issues, because I had to disconnect the camera for a little bit. So let me know if there's any issues. Where was I? Cade Woody, what's the worst half season in your opinion? Season 7A, I think. 7A. Or I don't remember the other half seasons, to be honest. The one that's fresh in my mind is 7A. Giuseppe De Rosa, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is getting older. They better hurry up. Yeah, they better hurry up if they want to do a movie. Because if it's too late, it won't work. Unless they do some crazy, what do you call it? What's the thing? Like, they make him look younger. They did that in the Irishman movie, right? They made Robert De Niro and Al Pacino older and younger in that movie, based on where in the timeline the movie was. or the story was. So if they want to do that, then they could do that even if Jeffrey Dean Morgan's older. But money, at the end it comes to money, and I don't think they're willing to spend the money, specifically AMC. So that's what concerns me. If they make it go longer, or if they wait longer, if they really want to do a movie, that is. Epic Zombie Killer, in one of the trailers for World Beyond, they showed a blonde, older lady that looked exactly like Pamela. I think it's her. Yeah, I did see her, and I've talked about, that scene in a lot of the videos that I've done. So I know which scene you're talking about. I think there's a good chance, but they could be fooling us. They could have that in there to throw us off. That's a possibility, I think. Giuseppe De Rosa, Rick versus Daryl, fight to the death. Who's winning? Rick, Daryl, fight to the death. I think Daryl. Yeah, I would say Daryl. It seems like Daryl's been in more fist fights than Rick has. Giuseppe De Rosa, Rick versus Daryl, fight to the death. Who's winning? Oh, I just answered that one. Epic Zombie Killer. Like, people like Georgie, or like people think Georgie is Pamela, but I think it's the older lady from the World Beyond. I think that makes more sense than Georgie, to be honest. Giuseppe De Rosa, Walking Dead, CGI can be ass at times. Abso-freaking-lutely. Kate Woody, I know this isn't a Walking Dead question, but do you watch Mad Men? It's my second favorite show, next to Walking Dead, of course. If you haven't, I definitely recommend it. I haven't watched Mad Men. I've heard about it, but I haven't watched it. And if we could add it to the options, I would, but I can't add more options right now to the choices of the shows that I can watch. But maybe later on, because right now I've kind of committed to one of those, so it'll be weird if I just choose something else. But definitely after that, in my next one, if I do a poll or if there's going to be another one, I'll add that in there. Giuseppe De Rosa, the season 7 Deer was horrible. Absolutely. Epic Zombie Killer, Q&A, Walking Dead has better writing, definitely better than Fear. The Walking Dead, or Fear the Walking Dead, do a selfie death. Wait, let me read that again. Walking Dead has better writing, definitely better than Fear the Walking Dead. Wouldn't do a selfie death. What do you mean by selfie death? I agree that Walking Dead has better writers than Fear, but what's the second part? I don't get that. Giuseppe De Rosa, they got lazy there. They got more than lazy there with the season 7 Deer, CGI Deer. Cade Woody, I think Walking Dead CGI is just a running joke now ever since 7/12. Kind of like a callback almost. Yeah. Epic Zombie Killer, I mean the original show wouldn't do a selfie death like Tom. Oh, the selfie death, yeah. That was crap. Giuseppe Rosa, Fear is a joke, LOL, absolutely. Alright, we've been going for an hour, 2 minutes now. So we'll go for 5 minutes of rapid fire Q&A, and that'll be the end of the stream. Again, for those of you that don't know, go to the link that's on the chat now to participate on our poll. It does help because, like I said, I could see who wants to see what. So it definitely does help. Epic Zombie Killer, the original show, wouldn't do that. The selfie death, yeah, it absolutely wouldn't. Giuseppe De Rosa, who has the worst acting on Walking Dead? Worst acting. I'm sure there's been instances where they were iffy, but I can't think of any specific thing right off the top of my head. Cade Woody, I hope Gimple was joking about the musical episode. If it's true, please let it be on Fear. Yeah, I hope it's not true. I really do. If it is, like you said, I hope it's on Fear. Like, if it's a mini thing on its own, whatever. But an episode on The Walking Dead just doesn't work. Doesn't make sense. Epic Zombie Killer, it'll make more sense if the Whisperers sang, since Beta is supposed to be a famous singer. That would be super weird. I wouldn't like that. Giuseppe Dorza, Scott Gimple as showrunner for Fear. No, he's not the showrunner. He's overseeing everything Walking Dead related, but he's not the showrunner of a specific show right now. Cade Woody, because CGI and makeup in season 10 is pretty freaking good. Yeah, it's really, really good. Cade Woody, it pisses me off that he thinks us fans want that musical crap. I think a portion of fans might, but not the majority. Giuseppe, there's a musical episode, Negan reacting, you got to be shitting me. Yeah, and it doesn't make sense. Like, what is it? If it's going to be like a play that they're doing, sure, it makes sense. They're doing a play at, let's say, Oceanside, or, Hilltop, or Alexandria. That could work, but if it's Alpha just singing along, coming in, that's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. Cade Woody, I gotta go, man. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you very much for joining. I appreciate the support, Cade Woody. Have a great night. Hopefully I'll see you in the next stream. Epic Zombie Killer, my only complaint about The Walking Dead Season 10 is the episode where Negan is with the Whisperers. I hated the music they used. It was so goofy. Or too goofy. I mean, it worked for me. I think it was goofy because it needed to be a total opposite of what was actually being shown. So to me, it made sense. I'm sure many fans disagree, but for me, it worked. But I think I'm in the minority there. Cade Woody, awesome. See ya. See you later. And we're probably going to end it here because I said 5 minutes. It's been around 5 minutes. So thank you, everyone, for joining. I appreciate the support. Again, if you haven't participated in the poll, I'll leave the link in the chat again. It does help. Like, you may not think that it actually helps, but it really helps because I get to see what you guys are interested to see. So make sure to go participate if you haven't done already. And the other thing I wanted to say, what did I want to say? I think that was it. Yeah, so we'll have another stream Sunday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So make sure to join us then as well. But that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the next stream. Epic Zombie Killer, bye. I see you next stream. See you guys next stream. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. See you guys soon.